All right, so we are going to be working through how to apply the same strategy that we used for shading this circle into a sphere to this circle right here, but we're going to be using cross-hatching instead. So you'll remember that cross-hatching has to do with how much white space is in between our lines, right? If there are more white space, if there is more white space in between all my lines, it's going to look lighter. And if there is less white space in between my lines, it's going to look darker. Let me sharpen my pencil here. I'm starting to realize it's not as sharp as I need it to be. All right, so I don't have the same template that I had for my shading circle, but I can kind of make it myself. The light source is the same, so I know my highlight is going to be right here. My midtone is going to be right here. My core shadow will be right here. And my reflected light is going to be right here. And then my cast shadow will go out that way, okay? So let's start with our midtone again. And I am going to add lines that are spaced out in the same way that the lines on my cross-hatching value scale are in the middle values, if that makes sense. And I'm still working in those crescent moons so that I am keeping that bend of the sphere, keeping it three-dimensional, and I'm going to go lighter as I go towards my highlight. I like to get the highlight covered first because that is my lightest values after I complete my midtone. Okay. It's not looking perfect right now. We're going to keep working though. I think I need to add a little bit more of that mid-tone bending upward just to make it a little bit more three-dimensional. And then I'm going to go to my core shadow. And remember, all I'm doing is adjusting how far my lines are apart from one another to create different values. So as I go towards my cast shadow, I'm adding more lines to remove that white space, to reduce the amount of white space that the eye is catching. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Trying to go as dark as possible here, adding as many lines as I can just to make sure that my core shadow really looks different from the rest of the values on my sphere. That's looking pretty good. And then I'm going to add my reflected light. And that is going to be similar to our midtone. So I'm going to start lighter and then add more to blend into my core shadow. Went a little out of bounds, that's okay. All right, and then I'm just gonna add a few more lines here and there just to blend this together as much as I can. I think I want to make my highlight a little bit lighter just to distinguish it from the rest of my piece. So I might make one section just have like nothing at all. It's looking okay. Really make sure my core shadow is darker than the rest of it here. Okay. That looks pretty good to me. Blend in there a little bit. It's helpful to stop and look and see what you're missing. Wish I hadn't gone as dark right here. I might remove some of these lines and go a little bit lighter right here, just so that everything is blending together well. That's looking better. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So there is my sphere, and then I'm going to make my cast shadow. And remember, that is mid-tone cross-hatching. I like to make these lines as straight as possible to show that it's a different surface than my sphere. I think that looks pretty good. Could use a little bit more work, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Sweet. Okay, so once again, we have our highlight, we have our mid-tone, we have our core shadow, we have our reflected light, and we have our cast shadow. So that is how we use cross-hatching to create a form.